Discipline doesn't start with doing more. It starts with doing one small thing consistently. In this episode, I'm giving you 3 action steps so you can build discipline that gives you momentum towards your biggest goals. So glad to have you back for another episode of the Dream Lifestyle Podcast. Today we are in part 2 of a 2-part series where we have been talking about the power of disciplined leadership. And this is so important for each and every one of us because you and I know that self-leadership is discipline. In the same way John Maxwell would define leadership as influence. That's important. But it does start with the ability to lead yourself, and self-leadership is discipline. So it's very important for each and every one of us, regardless of what space that we are in, regardless of what we've been called to build, that we discipline ourselves. We want to be living our lives in a way that we can be considered disciplined so we can have the capacity to handle the dream that is in our hearts. And so we covered the last time we had a conversation in the last episode, we talked about the mindset of disciplined leadership. And this was key because before we get into the action steps I'm going to give you today, we have to first be having the right frame of mind, the right perspective as to what discipline even is. And so just even as a recap, let's dive in. The recap of what we talked about the last time concerning disciplined leadership and the mindset towards it is, number one, you have to first believe you can be disciplined. And this is important because a lot of us live our lives with a lot of limiting beliefs surrounding who we can be because we've been trying to do things we've never done before. Because discipline is difficult. That is easy. We all know that. We know that discipline is difficult, but you cannot be limited by the difficulty. So you need to first understand just mentally that you have the ability to be disciplined. Secondly, we talked about how you have to decide with vision, meaning that you're not being disciplined just for the sake of being disciplined. You're being disciplined because there is something in the future that is more valuable to you than where you are today. There's something in the future that you are willing to sacrifice today that is inspiring, that's driving you to stay with the discipline. And then lastly, we learned about how we have to normalize discomfort, meaning that we have to be and accept and settle in our minds that this will be harder than anything we've ever done before. But we understand that this journey comes with discomfort. And so rather than when I run into the discomfort, I immediately retreat and back up, I'm going to step up and step into who I'm called to be, because what's on the other side of this discipline is everything that I've ever dreamed of. And so with these 3 mindset shifts, we are now effectively positioned to implement the 3 action steps that I'm going to be sharing with you today. And it's so important that as leaders, as builders, we are doing what we can to discipline ourselves, not just because we want to lead ourselves well, but because we understand that we are building for a vision, we're building for a purpose that is much bigger than us. And it's going to require that we make the sacrifice of discipline. It's going to require that we make the decision to be disciplined. Now, this idea of even being disciplined is a characteristic that you cannot self-identify as. As much as you might mentally believe that you are disciplined, the title of being disciplined really can come from others, which is why you need to know that builders and leaders create lifestyles. Your lifestyle should communicate that you are a disciplined individual, not just in the way that you talk, not just in the way that you dream, but the way in which you live your life should indicate to other people, the people around you, the people that get it, the people that also have a vision, also have goals. They should be able to say, that individual, you are discipline. And so it's so important that we not only have the mindset portion of being a disciplined leader, but we also have the habits to match. And so today, we're really going to be talking about habits. We're really going to be focusing in on habits, because your habits reveal your level of discipline and they also show where you're going. And so it's so important that you simply understand that whether you believe you have great habits or if you feel as though you have no habits, I want to put this in proper context for our conversation. You have habits. It's just a matter of the quality of those habits. So if you aren't used to waking up at a certain time, if you're not used to waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning every day, it's not so much that you have no habit of waking up at a specific time. You just have a bad habit of sleeping in. You might have no habit of going to the gym. Well, you really just have the bad habit of not taking care of your body and not making time for it. So I want to position and just put our conversation in context so that you are looking at this idea of habit building from the right place. You're not starting from zero. You're not starting from square one, but you are doing quality control. We're simply improving the quality of which your habits currently serve you. And so I'm going to be giving you 3 action steps that will really help you become disciplined. Like, this is where we take the mindset shifts that we covered in our last episode and conversation, and we really apply them to our lives. And so point number 1, if you want to become disciplined, the first action step is that you need to start small. One of the biggest myths about becoming disciplined is that you need to make some huge shift. You have to go cold turkey. You have to do this big action step thing, when the reality with anything that requires discipline is that you have to start small. Any great habit, any person that you see that is living a very disciplined life, they all started at a low place. They all started small with the habit. The habit was something really small, and what it did was that there was a compound effect on it. There was a level of self-trust built through the consistency of that small thing that now shows itself today as being disciplined at waking up at 5 a.m. every morning. That's disciplined to go to the gym every day. That's disciplined to, have theme days and keep a consistent schedule and everything like that. But it's simply because there was an intentionality with starting small. And so the way in which we're able to start small is you first need to pick one small habit that you can do once a day for 30 days straight. That's the first way. Like, just practically speaking, if you want to really become disciplined, I'm going to challenge you to think about what is one small habit that I can do once a day for 30 days straight. And if you are intimidated by this, or this is a little overwhelming for you, I want you to just always scale down the action step, just so that way you can fulfill the framing and the time frame of, okay, what is one thing that I can do every single day for 30 days? Now, some easy examples of this might be flossing, could be stretching, it might be journaling and everything. Like, you don't need to jump into, oh, well, I'm working out every single day for 30 days straight. If you haven't worked out, if that's not already a part of your routine and rhythm of your life, then you're really setting yourself up for frustration. So what I'm going to encourage you to do is just try to find one small habit. It could be the smallest habit in the world. It might be just sending a text every single day to someone that you know and love. But I just want you to identify one small habit that you can do every single day for 30 days. Now, the second way in which we can start small is that you can pick one small habit that you do once every 30 days. So on a month-to-month basis, try to find something that you just do one time every 30 days. Now, some examples of this might be, you might look at your bank statements, you might check in on a friend, or you might have what I call have a personal meeting. And these are just very basic rhythms that help keep you in line. It basically is you making a commitment to yourself, saying, okay, here is a low level, here's a small task, small habit that I'm deciding to do, because I know that if I honor my commitment here, that will help me become a more disciplined person. And you're basically saying, here's the time frame of which I'm doing it. So whether it is your small habit that you were doing every single day for 30 days, or it's your habit that you're doing once every 30 days, you simply want to honor your commitment, and you're starting small. I'm sorry to interrupt the conversation, but I wanted to take a moment to let you know and personally invite you to this year's Dreamer Symposium. On December 5th and 6th, we're hosting a leadership conference for you to create vision for the new year and grow in your self-leadership. So whether you're looking to climb the corporate ladder, whether you're building a business, or you're growing a ministry, it is important that in order for you to succeed, that you have vision and you lead yourself well, which is why this year's theme is resilient leadership, because it's not about what's happening to you, but it's about what you can make happen in your world. And you need to know that you are built to overcome. And in these 2 days, you're going to learn how, because resilience will be necessary. Because for you to build the life that you dream of, you're going to need to overcome some things. And so I would look forward to seeing you there on December 5th and 6th in Jackson, New Jersey for the Dreamer Symposium. Now let's get back to the episode. When you start small, you give yourself more of a sense of achievement as you continue to actually do what you said that you're going to do. And again, this does not necessarily mean, if you don't choose to use that framework of one habit every day for 30 days or one habit every 30 days, that's fine. But what I'm going to encourage you to do with whatever habit you decide to form as you become more disciplined, if that's your desire, I'm going to encourage you to start small. If you want to start going to the gym, you want to start taking care of your health more, then rather than you say, oh, I'm going to the gym every day this week, say, you know what, this week, I'm only going to go to the gym one day this week. And just honor that commitment. Because when you decide to start small, it not only will build discipline, but it's also going to build self-trust and create momentum. So for you to really start becoming a disciplined individual, it's going to require that you are intentional with simply starting small. Never despise small beginnings. Do something at its lowest level. Honor that commitment, steward that phase of the habit well, so that way it gets locked in, so that way it becomes automatic to you, so that way as you stack on top of it, you will start seeing things change because you made the decision to start small. And so this is so important because you want momentum. You want to build self-trust with yourself. And a lot of the times, most of the reason why most people are not disciplined is simply because they don't trust themselves. They're not disciplined simply because they're always telling themselves they're going to do one thing, but they always end up doing another. They say that they're going to call and check in on their grandparents, but they never actually do. They got too busy. They said that they were going to follow up with an individual, but they end up not doing it. Like there's always, they said this, but they did another. And so when you decide that you want to become disciplined, one of the easiest ways to become disciplined, and this is in line with this idea of starting small, is to simply match what you say with what you are going to do. And this is a very simple decision. Again, decide with vision based on the mindset shift that we talked about last. So I make sure that as you are thinking through those habits, that you're just starting small because you want to give yourself a sense of achievement. Because here's what we need to know as dreamers, that discipline is built one decision at a time. Anyone that you see that is disciplined, they all started with one decision. It wasn't a major series of, it was one decision at a time. Not thinking about the next decision. It was, let me make the right decision right here, right now, in this moment, in this day that honors what I said I was going to do. And if you continue to do that, if you figure out how can I mentally make sure I do everything I said I'm going to do, and I'm starting at a small level, you will find yourself becoming more confident because you're honoring your word, but you will also find yourself becoming disciplined. So that's the first action step. You want to start small. The second thing that you want to do is that you want to disrupt your defaults. Understand, being disciplined is far from pleasant. Being disciplined is far from enjoyable, but it is worth it because we have a better future in mind for our present day sacrifice. And so you need to disrupt what your natural tendencies are. Your natural tendency is not to wake up early in the morning. Your natural tendency is not to eat salads all day. Your natural tendencies is not to be absolutely productive for the full 8-hour day. Your natural tendencies need to be disrupted. And the only way you disrupt them is by actually becoming aware of your defaults and then actually trying to figure out, what do I need to change? Because disruption is challenging your norms. So how do we do this? The first way in which we disrupt our defaults is we need to remove access to distractions. The only way you're able to remove access to distractions is first by even becoming aware of the distraction. But then you need to do everything that you can to remove your access from it. So if you want to start eating healthier, instead of you trying to figure out, well, let me buy more healthy food, start by throwing out all the unhealthy food in your fridge. If you feel as if you are spending too much time on the phone, as opposed to trying to figure out what other activities can you do, why don't you start by using the screen time function in the settings on your iPhone? Android users, I don't know what you have, but start using screen time. If you know that you spend way too much time on your phone at night, rather than you try to, put on a new sleep song or try to do something with your sleep, why don't you remove access by leaving your phone in the kitchen at nighttime so you can actually sleep when you're in your room? These are just easy examples of what it looks like to remove access to the distractions. So often we think that we always got to add, we always got to do more, when a lot of times the most effective thing you can do, especially when it comes to building habits and becoming disciplined, is by removal, is by getting rid of distractions. So, number one, if we want to disrupt our defaults, we have to remove access to distractions. The second thing that we want to do to disrupt our norms, to disrupt our normal tendencies, is that we need to research what the greats do. So it's not enough to identify a distraction and remove the distraction. We have to then replace it with something better. And this is why just simply researching, what do the greats do? Now, the greats in this context, we are talking about people who are ahead of where you are today. And this is where you've heard me talk about you need to have a success model. So what time is your success model getting up? How is your success model living their life? What does your success model do in the same situations that you find yourself in? These are things that you can simply research by reading, by watching podcasts, by going to conferences. Like, there are ways to really research the ways in which your favorite people that you follow are disciplined. And so we need to research what they do, because your level of discipline is only revealed by what you've been exposed to. So if you have not been exposed to high level discipline, you make it very difficult for you to become that because you've never seen it. So in order for you to actually become disciplined at the level you believe you're called to achieve the goal that's in your heart, you have to make sure that you are exposing yourself and researching what are the greats doing so I can emulate, so I can model that in my own life. Because again, we don't only want to remove the distraction, we don't only want to get rid of our access to the distraction, we want to replace it with something better, a better habit. And then the last thing that we want to do in order to disrupt our norms, we want to set ourselves up for success. I shared last time that we spoke that I'm really on this new, I don't even know if I want to call it a new gym kick, but I'm really a lot more disciplined and focused when it comes to my physical health. And the reason for that is because I'm a new father. And when I think about, what I'm modeling for my child, when I think about how she's going to view me as a dad and just my functionality as she grows up, I want her to see how important the gym is. I want her to see and know that her father takes care of himself. And I want to be around for a very long time. And so I've disciplined myself mentally to go to the gym even when I don't feel like it, simply because I understand I'm doing this for her. I'm working on certain muscle groups, and I'm working out as much as I don't like it sometimes, just because of the impact, the positive impact that it's going to have on her. And so one of the things I've been doing practically that's really helped immensely with this, and I learned this from my college basketball days, is I basically have set gym clothes for set days. So what I've done is I've set myself up for success, meaning that when it's early in the morning, I've actually started going to the gym at like 4:30, 5 o'clock now, which is totally brand new to me. But nonetheless, I'm setting myself up for success by eliminating the decision of what should I wear. I've set myself up for success by already knowing I'm wearing the same thing that I wore last week. I'm wearing the same thing each and every day. So when I get up and it's super early and I'm like, oh man, I really don't want to go, I've set myself up for success in such a way where there isn't any self negotiation, where I'm able to just simply grab the clothes, put them on, get in the car, go to the gym, do what I have to do based on the vision that I see. So if we want to disrupt our norms, we really need to set ourselves up for success. Leave zero room for you to negotiate with yourself. And so that is how we're actually able to disrupt our defaults, because your default isn't serving you. So what do we need to know as dreamers, and what are we going to do? We need to know that you don't drift into discipline, you design for it. And the way in which we're going to do that is we're going to remove access to distractions, we're going to research what the greats do, and we're going to set ourselves up for success. Now, the third and final point, when you think about just an action step to becoming disciplined, is you want to make your progress visible. This is so important. You need to have a place where you actually have a way of just seeing what you are doing, because a lot of these small habits, again, the small habits, you want to start small. They likely in the beginning, depending on where you start, they're only going to be known by you. So you have to make sure that you are reinforcing, you are keeping yourself motivated by having a way in which you're able to track progress. And now, depending on whatever the habit is, you might track it daily, you may track it weekly, you might track it monthly, you might track it publicly, you might track it however you decide to track it. But whatever you decide to do, just make sure that you are making your progress visible. And the way in which you're able to make your progress visible is, number one, you have to define the win. Okay, define the win, meaning that define very clearly what is a win in relation to this new small habit. Like, if it's so long as I get to the gym and I work out, that's a win. So long as I make this number of calls in my business, that's a win. So long as I show up and finish this plan by the end of the day for the ministry, that's a win. Like, you want to be so clear with the win, so that way there's nothing being left over. You don't feel like you forgot something when you lay your head down at night. So in order for us to make our progress visible and track our habits, we want to define the win. And then secondly, which I kind of mentioned a little bit, you need to define the cadence. So how often are you doing this new small habit, and being very clear, like not anything ambiguous saying, oh, well, I think 5 times this week I'm going to do XYZ. No, be very specific in saying, okay, this is the small habit I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it Monday. I'm going to do it this way Tuesday, that way Wednesday, this way Thursday, that way Friday, this way Saturday, and I'm going to take off Sunday. Like, you want to be very specific with the cadence of the new small habit. And again, this is not just for being specific just for the sake of being specific. This is also, you are setting yourself up for success by being very clear as to, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm committing myself to as I become a disciplined individual. So that way I can have effective rhythms that keep me in a space of consistency. So that way I can grow my capacity to handle my dream. And so this visible progress is going to reinforce your motivation. It should keep in front of you your why. It should keep in front of you how long you've gotten there, because you might have been very consistent for 14 days, right? But if you don't see that progress, it's very easy to take that 15th day and just be like, man, I don't feel like it today. And then you fall off, and now you've broken your consistency off one day. But what would it look like if you wanted to be consistent at something for, let's call it the 15 days, and you actually saw, okay, I've done this 14 times in a row. I can't let this day be the day. So now you've motivated yourself just by having a way to track your progress. And again, very practical tool, very, very practical tool. So here's what we need to know as dreamers. If you can't see your progress, you won't pursue it. If you can't see your progress, you won't pursue it. And that's why it's so important you find some way to track your habits with the vision in mind. And now I hope with all of this, you got something out of this series. You got something out of our time together. And I'm so grateful that you decided to take time. And so here's what I'm going to ask you to do. I'm going to ask you to share this with somebody. I'm going to do the recap in a second, but I'm going to ask you to share this with someone that you know needs to build their discipline, who understands there's more for me in my life. I have a lot of ideas and I need to figure out how to focus on them. They need discipline. And so send this to them because you care about them and you want to see them win. And so here's our recap. Okay, we talked about, to finish out our series, about the power of disciplined leadership. And we talked today about the habits, because our habits reveal our level of discipline. Our habits reveal where we're going. The first thing that we want to do, the first action step, if we want to become disciplined, is that we want to start small. We want to find one habit that we do once every day for 30 days. And we want to find one small habit that we do once every 30 days. The second thing that we want to do is we want to disrupt our defaults. We want to look at all the things that we call normal and we want to disrupt them. We want to challenge the status quo. And we do that by removing access to distractions. Like, we throw away junk food, we use screen time, we put boundaries on our lives. The second way in which we do that is that we research what the greats do. We don't just remove distractions, but we also replace it with something better based on what our success models are doing. And then lastly, we set ourselves up for success. We make sure that we tailor, we place, we position things in our lives that eliminate margin, that eliminate space for us to negotiate with ourselves. And then point number 3, for us to become disciplined leaders, we need to make our progress visible. Because if you don't see your progress, you're not going to pursue it. Now, I hope that you got some value out of this conversation. As I said before, be sure to send this to someone that you care about, someone that you believe in, who also is a dreamer, who also is a builder, who also has been called to do something amazing, people who want to shift and improve communities and culture. And so I appreciate you. Take whatever you learn from today and take action from it. Do something, implement some of this stuff, because I'm telling you, it works. I'm telling you from personal experience. And so I appreciate you. Understand that self-leadership is discipline. Your dream requires discipline, and that's going to help you get to the next level. And so whatever you do, make sure that you take action, because whatever you're willing to work for, you've got to grow for it. I appreciate you, and keep on building.